Hey, Kim, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Yeah, last time was it Women of Wearables?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Women of Europe just before Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It feels like forever.
I know.
Holidays, pandemic, 2020. I don't know
Yeah.
what year I'm in.
No, I know.
That was a really fun panel. It's actually really where I got to research your company and stuff. Real quickly, you have these virtual background with chickens that are pink and they have these little swirly crazy eyes. What is happening? What are those?
Wow, that's so these little chickens, people can't see them, but they're part of the branding for Clementine. And we made this little ad a while ago because lots of people think that hypnotherapy is like you'll end up being a chicken on a stage clucking around. So we sort of were making a bit of a joke out of it. We made these paid ads and then we just love this chicken. So we've just been using him.
Yeah. Oh, to him. Yeah.
I just assumed it was a him clucking around like an idiot. I don't know. Sorry.
I love it. I all my plants are hymns. Like, so it's weird how we kind of identify like genders to different random non-gendered objects, but
yeah, so
cool, little chicken, little crazy chicken. Well, we always love to kick off the show with a story about you and your background. You know, we usually don't say, maybe you did, you want to grow up and hypnotize women for their health, right? Like, I don't know.
I didn't. I did not.
So tell us, like, where'd you grow up? You have an accent, so let us know where you're from, and did you have a career before this, and how did you end up here?
Yeah, I did. So, well, I'm living in the UK now with my family, but my accent, I'm a Kiwi, so I'm a New Zealander, proud Kiwi at the moment.
Very proud.
Nailing it. And
it's amazing when women are in power,
Oh, I know. I just love Jacinda Ardern and I've got a massive crush on her. Anyway, so yeah, I came here when I was 26 and I had a career before I started Clementine in marketing and strategy, worked agency side, client side, mainly for really quite big companies like Tesco, which is the biggest grocery supplier here in the UK, some of the major banks, that sort of stuff. And to be completely honest with you, I hit a point in my career when I was pregnant with my first son, and I had a lot of quite unhealthy work. And well, actually, it wasn't just work; it was everything. I was quite a tightly wound up person. I'm being frank. Like, I was a perfectionist. I like just really stupid things would like trigger me at home, like seeing something out of place, like, why is there? I'd just go into a rage, everything had to be perfect. I was a people pleaser, a workaholic, all these things. I mean, I'm surprised that I got married to that person.
All I hear is that there's hope for me.
There's hope for all the people who are wound up. And anyway, the benefit of hindsight is amazing. So I used to get a lot of headaches and I never, I just had like a dull sense of not feeling like happy. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny, my mum used to, because I didn't sleep well as well, and my mum used to send me books from New Zealand to eat more meat because she thought that was the problem. But actually what ended up happening, all of these unhealthy behaviors sort of came to an ugly head.
Yeah.
When I was working and pregnant, and I ended up having my very first panic attack at work. And to cut a very long story short, that one moment became a major trauma in my life because I'd made myself out like I was a superwoman.
Yeah.
I really had in everything that I did, except underneath it all, I was just a crumbling mess.
Yeah.
And so that trauma, I went on a spiral. So I just went down, and I lost my voice and I lost my confidence. And I began having panic attacks and developed social anxiety, like on a daily basis, basically.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that was all a bit dark for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure we have a lot of aspiring and early stage founders that listen, or MDs. And they really intense jobs. And we are, a lot of our listeners are fighters for women's equality. And so I'm sure there's a high percentage of our listeners that are like, oh my God, that happened to me last week or last year, or I should anticipate this coming.
This is the thing, is that it's a universe. It's my story is very, it crosses cultures, it crosses countries, women around the world are all suffering from these things, all the time. I do, I'm here talking to you because it was actually a gift in a way. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to go somewhere else. And again, to cut a very long story short, I realized that the work that I was doing made me incredibly unhappy and was the trigger for a lot of these unhealthy behaviors. And so after a lot of deep thinking and work on myself, and finding hypnotherapy as well was the thing that even got me back to working, I did a career pivot. And it was whilst I was working that I came to this realization that I had a bigger purpose in life. I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, I want to start Clementine, but I did the thinking around it and realized that I was not alone in these feelings, like you just said, and that perhaps I could play a role, given that I'd been on my own journey to get better, to helping other women. I really believed strongly that I had the tools within me to kind of build something. I didn't know what it was, but I just kind of came.
I love that story. Let me ask you a question. It's a personal one, and it's because this is my story where, I have complex PTSD, and I actually went inpatient for treatment about 4 years ago. And I can remember calling the admissions office or whatever of this inpatient place and being like, am I bad enough to come in? And she's like, girl, you should have came in years ago. You are qualified. And so I find that a lot of times, I know, at least for me, and I know a bunch of other women, that even if we have all the hallmark signs of mental breakdown or depression, panic attack, for me, PTSD, I was like, I'm sure other people have it way worse. I'm just being oversensitive about this. And I'm just being really dramatic. That was the thing I kept saying. I'm being so dramatic. And professionals were like, you are in a crisis. This is called crisis.
I know, that, what you described there is so true of so many people though. And it's this feeling that what I'm going through is not as bad as what other people are going through, and therefore it's not valid.
Yep.
Which is, we talk about it a lot in the community, and it's everybody's truth is different.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it feels bad for you, it's bad.
Yes.
And we don't need to worry about what everyone else's bad is, because we all cope in different ways, don't we?
Well, it's interesting. It's for me, a lot of my double guessing my feelings is due to a childhood of gaslighting. No, that's normal. Even if you think that's wrong or bad, it's not, it's normal. Or, oh, you're sad about this, you shouldn't be, or, but I also, let's relate that to Femtech. A huge issue we see in Femtech is that women go to the doctors and are like, I think something's wrong. And they're like, no, that's normal pain. And then she dies, or I don't think this is right. You don't know. You're not a doctor. And she, and it's but it's my uterus. I feel like I've lived with it long enough to know. And so there's this gaslighting theme throughout all of that, right?
Totally. It's interesting, actually. I'd just forgotten when you said that I never went to the doctors about I got my own therapy. I went and did therapy. It didn't actually work. And that's when I found hypnotherapy, and was my tool out of the hole. And I never went to the doctors because actually, and I'm not saying this about all doctors, by the way, it's just my story.
Yeah.
I never trusted them that they would understand or had a relationship with me to know what my truth was.
Yep.
I just bypassed it.
Yeah, well, and also my story of my qualifications, if you will, of, in college, I had a drug problem in college. This is very common for, self-treatment of PTSD symptoms. And I can remember one time I actually did go to the doctor because, and I told him every 3 days I'm super energized and ready to go. And every other 3 days I'm super depressed. And it was because I was on an amphetamine.
Yeah.
But because I was like like A student, college, I worked as a medical technician. I was like this beautiful young white girl. He was like, you have bipolar, you know. He didn't even ask like, well, are you using drugs? Like, what else?
Wow. That's
You know?
scary.
He was like, within 5 minutes, it was like, take this pill, like call me in a year, you know, for a refill.
Yeah. No, that's scary.
Long story short, I don't have bipolar. God bless those who do. And I have since like adjusted my lifestyles accordingly. But anyways, yeah, it's just interesting, the relation between the mental health, gaslighting, mental health, like I don't even trust my own feelings about this, and then physical health, right?
Yeah.
It's very intertwined for women. So what is Clementine?
Well, so Clementine at the moment is a hypnotherapy app that helps women who are feeling stressed or overwhelmed or anxious or feeling a bit low, or, you know, just feeling like meh, you know, flat, like they can't cope with life. And it could be one of those things, or they can't sleep, or it could be all of those things. And we help them to, you know, to just basically, it's a coping tool. It's an app in your pocket that will help you to feel calm and give you the tools to be able to cope with some of the more negative stuff, so that then you can start to feel like more confident and build your self-esteem, so that you can do more of the things that you really want to be doing with your life.
So after I interviewed you on the panel, I downloaded Clementine.
Yeah.
And now every morning, listeners, I wake up to the sound of birds chirping. It's like this little alarm that y'all have on your brain. So every morning I wake up to like these little chirpy things and this little message that's like, you're a rock star, or like just something like that. And then
you're a badass.
And then every afternoon I get a message from your app as well. It's like, you don't have to be perfect at everything. And it just makes me like sit in because at that point in the day, my shoulders are up to my ears, hunched over, my stomach is cramped. I'm like answering 3 phones, you know, so and then I see you don't have to be perfect at everything. And it just lets me be like, you're right. Thanks, Clementine.
Yeah, so true. Because we have, I part of our approach is it's very much holistic. So a lot of the sessions are hypnotherapy based, but we use tapping, we use the sound of the birds and the mantras that are popping up to just really understand throughout a day where are those little pinch points, right? Where you just need that little kind of like, okay, I can do this. I'm leaning in. I'm okay.
Yes. And I love that it's a morning, it's an afternoon, it's a night thing, because you know, mental health is not, and spiritual health, if we say like this is just about my energy and my spirit, like it's not a like I'm gonna read a book on self-help and then I'll be cured. It's like literally every hour of the day you have to like kind of tap into it. What is hypnotherapy? I envision black and white video of like men in suits on a stage. I don't know why. That's what comes to my mind.
No.
So tell us what hypnotherapy is, and then also how does it happen through an app? Because I normally think about some kind of watch waving in front of my face.
So the first thing to describe before we talk about hypnotherapy is what hypnosis is, because hypnotherapy is the art of getting you into a state of hypnosis.
Got it.
So hypnosis, it sounds really scary, right? It's actually, let's just replace hypnosis with the word autopilot. Okay. It's that deep state of relaxation that we actually pass through so many times during the day. So for example, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth and you're just not thinking about it. You're basically on autopilot. That you're actually in a hypnotic state. Or perhaps you take the same route to work every day. Actually quite scary, right? When you're driving and you literally are not thinking about it. You're on autopilot. You're actually in a hypnotic state. And so the art of hypnotherapy is trying to guide you into a relaxing state, so that we can then start talking with you about and unpicking all of those negative, you know, the inner chatter, all of the things that you're unhappy with, to retrain almost and rewire and weave. We use the word weave a lot, like reweave your thinking
Interesting. Can you
into more
hypnotize
powerful.
dogs? Our listeners know Q here. He could use a little unwinding.
I don't know. I reckon
I'm
you
sure
probably
there's somebody
could.
out there who does
I
that.
reckon you probably could. Yeah. So it's actually a very natural thing. It's not, what's really cool about it is, and people ask me this all the time, like, but what's the difference between hypnotherapy and meditation? I think for me, there's two big things. One, which is with hypnotherapy, it's very much a lean back experience.
Okay.
And by that I mean is you can just put it on and you can listen, and you can allow yourself and give yourself the permission to follow or not follow. And because actually the art of it is to not get you to follow, it's just to get you into the hypnotic state.
Yeah.
And once you've got there, the suggestions go in anyway. So that's what's really powerful. Whereas meditation is different because it is a lean in experience.
Yeah.
Okay? And why that is really important is because we're living in a world, especially right now, where actually, like, I wanted so badly to get on with meditation, but I couldn't because I have such a busy brain. It's mental, right? The art of trying to get it to train itself to be like more present when I was very vulnerable put me under too much pressure. And actually, for a lot of women, we hold a very strong perfectionist trait.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where it becomes like, oh, I really want to do this. I'm going to try this. Oh my God, I can't do it. I'm a failure. I suck. Like, and then you're like, I must be able to do this. Everybody else is doing this. And then it's like, oh my God, no.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's different because you can lean back, and it's all about relaxation. And repetition is the key. It's just, keep listening and trusting it.
Yes. So I've done a lot of guided meditations, and I've never really thought about it like the lean in, lean out kind of a thing, or lean back, not out, but back is, guided meditations. I'm often told to imagine you're here, and then you do this person shows up, then you feel this, then this color shows up, right? Like you're told to like guide. And then I have done, I was addicted to nicotine, and I'm since I would say like 7 weeks clean of nicotine. I'm very, very proud of myself.
Well done.
Vapes are the devil. Vapes are like candy flavored vapes got me. I'm definitely a victim of that. And also, and so anyways, I was listening to YouTube channels, and it said like hypnotize yourself to not vape. And I was desperate, and I was like, I don't care. I'll do whatever, help me. And I realized like these like videos or whatever, I would just put it next to my head when I was falling asleep. And it was just like, vaping is bad. Like you're worth so much more than the nicotine in there. And but it just kept saying that vape is bad. And it was like, there's no storyline.
Yeah.
There is no like anything, but I swear I started to like every day be like, this sucks. Like I think I'm really ready to do something, and who knows, maybe it's all like placebo effect is absolutely real, but nevertheless I felt like I was doing something about it. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Like,
it is. I imagine there's different types of hypnotherapy that isn't the hypnotherapy that we use, by the way. We use cognitive hypnotherapy, which is much more holistic and uses different techniques. So it has CBT in it. It uses NLP, and it uses coaching, and it does use visualizations. And what we do, this probably comes on to the question that you're asking about, but how does it work when you're not actually in front of someone? Is we do all the research, right, with women, and we understand all the areas where they're struggling. We understand the words that they use around, these areas, like with body issues, whatever. And then it's almost, we talk to the therapist, and so that they can get into the mindset of what the problems are. And then they design the sessions as if they were designing for a person, right? But we've aggregated it all up because we've read all the research, if that makes sense, and spoken to enough women to get the common themes. And so actually, in a way, having been to a therapist in person and now just having the app, I genuinely believe it works better, because there is a bit of a wall when you go to see someone. And when you're in the comfort of your own home, you know, there's no judgment. And not that they're judging you, it's about you believing that they're judging you.
Yep.
Just crazy. And it means that it's more accessible. So you can just do it all the time. Like I used to listen to one session for a whole year, like all day. I was in the toilet, on my way to work, on my way home, before I went to sleep, you know. And that's when it can really work.
I love that. And that's what Femtech is, right? It's this idea that sure, there's like a solution that exists, but it's either gender agnostic or it's made for men, but it's, you know, told for women can just use it too. And this sounds like it's much more like, no, we made this with women-centered design.
It is,
you know?
it is absolutely female-centered design. There's no question about it.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I heard you have some like statistics for us on hypnotherapy. I don't even know the right questions to ask to get into them. So, you know.
Well, actually, I was not going to talk about statistics around hypnotherapy, but I wondered if, so a lot of the people often ask me around this, you know, is this really a big problem, you know, around anxiety and stress and self-esteem and confidence? Is this really a women problem? Everybody suffers from these things, right?
Yes.
I mean, the fact that we're still debating that really like gets my wick.
Yep.
I mean, I could reel out a whole ream of reports across all countries, across all cultures that show, and we talked about it at the beginning, right? My story is so relatable.
Yeah.
Okay? So if we talk firstly about anxiety and stress, right? Even just now, there was a massive report that came out from the UCL around is how are people coping with stress and anxiety because of the current climate, right? And they spoke to people who were between 19 and 90. And it showed that women right now, and this was even before the pandemic, this was true, but even now more so, that disparity between men and women is getting higher. And actually quite scarily, I was seeing that for younger women, I don't know how old you are. I'm not a young, right. So you're in the younger women group. The 19 to 30-year-olds are suffering more than any other women.
Oh my God, I feel so validated.
Yeah, there you go. And so I suppose like, you know, like numbers are numbers, but to me, I then go to, but why does like, what happens then? What happens when we're stressed and anxious? Because it has a flow on effect for the next part, which is self-esteem and confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when you're stressed and anxious, it means you don't sleep well.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have a day where you get really snappy or you don't like the way that you behave.
Yeah.
And then you ruminate, right? And it's this constant thing going around in your head. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Oh God, you know, when I did this, and then again, you don't sleep because you can't turn off your busy brain.
Yeah.
And then what happens is it gets worse. And there's so many statistics around this. We stop exercising, you know, then we overeat.
Yeah.
Because we're finding other ways to make ourselves feel good about ourselves.
Yep.
Or we drink more. Yep. And then we're less productive. And this vicious cycle just kind of goes on and on. And then what happens is if that's left for too long, it affects your self-esteem. Now, there's a lot of people get muddled up with self-esteem and confidence and the difference between the two, because it affects confidence as well. But it's kind of almost starts with self-esteem, because self-esteem is that feeling that you have about it's hard to describe, but it's like your own self-worth of being, you know, in the world. It's like, do I believe that I'm a good person? So I actually have incredibly high self-esteem. I genuinely believe that I'm a really good person, right? However, when you're feeling really shitty, sorry.
Working on the show.
When you're stressed and anxious, that it starts to chip away at you, and you start to question your own self-worth.
Yeah.
And then what happens is so confidence is different, because confidence is about your belief in your own abilities to do things. can be fleeting, you know, and it can change from week to week, from day to day, you know, whatever. But then if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, sorry, but geeky, that, you know, if you haven't got self-esteem, then you start to, like, your confidence starts to like really crumble too, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because you're like, I don't believe that I can do that because I don't have the core in me anymore.
Yep. Because my belief about myself is so negative. Like,
yeah. And you start, the imposter syndrome comes and all of this, you know. And so you know, you're nodding your head. I know that. So this is, so many women suffer from this.
Yeah.
And then for me, I'm like, okay, so what? But why does that happen?
Yeah.
Like, why does this keep happening to women? And I mean, it's such a big question, right? But I do think it starts from a really young age.
Yep.
You know, if I think about my own journey, right? I've got kids as well, so I'm really like seeing this as a parent now, having to unpick what happened to me so that I don't do that to my own kids. But we're told from such a young age to think like this, to talk like this, to be like this, to act like this, to sit like this, to look like this, to wear clothes like this, to at a certain age to have done X, you know, have kids by X. That's your timeline. This is what it looks like. You're not worthy if you didn't go to university. You're not worthy if you don't have kids. You know, like, it's like a ticking clock almost, this thing, you know, which I genuinely believe men don't have. They're not thinking about, oh, by X I need to have done X, or, you know, or thinking, oh, I need to wear this because it's just not something that happens. And so, and then the other part, so there's a lot of societal pressures, I think, on women. Yeah. And then the other part, which it might, if I start it might seem like a random thing, but actually it's so important, which is around women's bodies. Yeah. The impact that has on our confidence, and not just our confidence, but our job prospects, you know, how much money we earn, everything like that. So there was a report done in the UK, this is UK centric, and I'm surprised actually that the government did this. It was a body confidence report, so that was quite warming. Whoa! I was like, oh my god, you're thinking about women's bodies, good. And it showed that 87% of girls this is scary, age between 11 and 21, believe that women are judged more on their appearance versus their abilities. So most women at a very young age, 11 to 21, they already believe that the way they look is more important than their abilities. Okay, now that's only one aspect of confidence. Yeah. But the report then goes to show that actually poor body image is associated obviously with lower confidence, right? Then all those things that I was talking about happen, and then you lower your aspirations for what you can be in this world, and then you lower and you pull back your social participation in the world, and all of that. Oh my God. It makes sense, right? When you actually snowball. It does, it just snowballs. And then you see, this is part of the reason why, and it's just part, there's so many, it's so complicated, why you see fewer women in leadership positions, right? And why women don't go for the job when they only have 8 out of the 10 skills. And, you know, it's just, sorry, that was me going on. Oh no, girl, we can talk all day, all night about all this. I am just sitting here nodding and nodding and nodding. I think the only thing I would say is that I think that men do suffer from body image issues, and like the perfect body and their perfect penis and all of that stuff that they have to deal with. But I do absolutely think that women have probably like 10x. Yes. You know, because one of the things I feel is like the childhood thing that you're talking about. Like, I love that meme that was going around for years. That was like, girls don't mature faster. They're just told to like stop being a child, you know, like, so those types of really early things where boys are allowed to be boys for way longer, you know, whereas girls are restricted so much earlier from, you know, being silly or getting dirty or whatever, you know, or punching a kid, you know, like, or wearing what they want, like, you know. I've got 2 boys, and so I really see it in our street. We've got a lot of girls, and mostly girls, and even the language that I see the mothers using with the girls, and they're like, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. And I'm like, oh my God, they're just riding a bike, like relax. And, you know, just what they're wearing and stuff like that is so, it's up to, I think parents actually can play a major role in breaking this cycle for the next generations.
Absolutely. And so does hypnotherapy like help unwind some of these things? Okay.
Oh my God, yes. So that's why we've built the app in the way that we have. We mainly focus on anxiety, stress, and confidence and body confidence, and there's nuanced subjects within all of those. There is no one thing. You know, you said it before, you can't just read a book, you can't just do hypnotherapy. And you know, it's about taking a holistic approach. And even within the app, that's why we have, right, start your day right. So, because you know what it's like when you have a really crappy start to the day, it ruins your whole entire day. So that's why we focused on the morning. And then we're like, okay, but we realize with the best intentions, even if you have a good morning, stuff happens that wobbles you. And so therefore we have sessions to help like kind of get you back on track as quickly as possible. Maybe you've been on Instagram all morning and you've got yourself into a hole of self-comparison, like dread. You know, it's like, how do you quickly get yourself out of that? And then we have sleep sessions, and now we're working really hard to go deep on therapy around courses around some of these quite tricky subjects. So anxiety, for example, confidence. I just did the confidence course, which is coming out next month. Yesterday.
Is it your voice on it?
No.
Okay.
Wonder. First of all, people call me Clementine, and I'm not. And then they're like, "Oh, I love the voice," and it's like, I'm not the voice. No, we have a master practitioner in cognitive hypnotherapy who I work very closely with, because I understand the insight around it. And her and I, you know, sort of like bounce off each other to get where we need to get to.
Oh, cool. Well, that actually brings me to, what are some of the future goals for Clementine? So you have these courses. Can you tell us a little bit about that more?
Yeah, we have
also, like, what are some other future things?
I mean, but if I start with our mission, really, like big stuff, you know, I've just described a pretty bleak world where women are struggling with stress and anxiety and confidence. And I would just be so happy when I die if my legacy was that I've built a company, not just an app, a company and a brand that women feel that they can trust, that help them cope with all of these things, and not just cope, but also thrive in the world. And that's our mission. And the app that we've built is the gateway into that. But actually, it's more than that, right? We want to connect and build community. So I mentioned before we jumped on this that we've just started our first ever wellness festival, which is all about, you know, January's an interesting time of the year, because often you want to have a refresh and a reset and a rethink. This year is interesting because you want to do that, but most people are sleepwalking into 2021.
Because they're like, jaded. Oh no, it didn't just change overnight. We're still in the 2020 nightmare.
Exactly. And but no one knows how to like get unstuck. So we created this festival, which now we're realizing is something that we can own every year, to reboot all different aspects of women's life, sleep, you know, sex. People aren't having as much sex as they want, career, all that stuff. And it helps. Like, I don't believe in creating a brand that doesn't like properly connect women together. And then we're in chats with one of the biggest beauty brands here in the UK about creating multi-sensory experiences and rituals for women around products that women use every day. Right. That could be elevated through some of our amazing little like morning routines, and actually building them together to go, all right, let's build rituals for women, so that they're not just slapping on their moisturizer. They're mindfully and going, okay, Kim, you can have a good day. All right. Do you know what I mean? It's
my gosh, I love that a lot.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited.
I love that.
You know, I genuinely believe that like the the biggest impact we can make is through multi-sensory, you know, especially in this world where we're living in, where we're not connecting enough and not touching things enough.
Yeah.
But we can bring the digital together with the physical and the smell and all that stuff. So yeah, we're doing lots of really fun things.
Slowing down and being like, how does this feel? What temperature is this? You know, like
exactly.
Yeah. Does my stomach hurt? Does this happen? You know, like how do I feel when I do this? I've done that with cooking because I really like cooking. As a scientist who doesn't work in a lab anymore, I find that cooking is kind of my like lab time. I'm mixing, I'm measuring, I'm timing, and I use it as a mindfulness experiment where I say, look at the colors of these ingredients. And then like I cut it and I'm like, how did that feel to cut? Like cutting a tomato is different than a cucumber, different than onion, you know, and how did that knife go through it? And what smell is coming? Are my eyes burning? That one's not as pleasant. But you know, or like what smells are coming up and what sounds am I hearing from the thing grilling or whatever. And so it's like I could autopilot cooking, and I probably do still most of the time, but sometimes I'm just like, nope, there's no podcast on right now. There's nothing, Britt. Because sometimes I got, you know, TV's on and music's on, all these things. Sometimes I'm just like, just focus on the senses, you know, but it took me years to do that. And if your app can help guide women to see, oh my God, putting on moisturizer could be a mindful activity.
Brushing my teeth, like, you know, starting your day and ending your day, 2 things you do every day. We don't think about it and don't use that time really like to just love ourselves.
Well, Kim, this has been so amazing. I cannot wait to continue and enroll in your courses when they launch. It is really, really amazing to have somebody focusing on women's, you know, mental wellness in a unique way with the hypnotherapy. This is the first time I've found an app that does that.
Cool. Well, we're glad to have you on the journey with us.
I have 2 last questions for you that our listeners love. The first one is, if someone wanted to start a femtech company, then what's areas in women's health and wellness that you think still need innovating?
Yeah, I was thinking about this actually. And I always think about problems that I have. And I find it really interesting when I've been pregnant twice now, and I know there's a lot of stuff around periods and fertility, but I think that there is a real gap in supporting women through their pregnancy journey. And I mean, like we get given midwives, right? Well, often here in the UK, you might have 5 different midwives. You don't, and that is actually really stressful. And when you're pregnant, so many things happen. It's so stressful. Like, I can't believe that there is not a service that like really just handholds you through it. Yeah, there's blogs, there's websites, but that's not the same of what I'm talking about. I wanted someone to be there all the time,
assigned to you.
Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't need to be in person either. And you know, there's lots of things that they use within that journey, like tracking heart rates, and like, why do I need to go to the doctors to do this stuff? Like, to me, this just seems crazy, which adds a whole nother level of stress as well when you're having to go to the doctors and so I think being pregnant and hand holding women through that journey, I think there's a lot of disruption that could happen there.
Absolutely. And I want to add to your dream about that 6 weeks after pregnancy. My sister just had a baby, and thank God I'm friends with like 20 OB-GYNs because I was with her, you know, the baby was born, and she, you know, this happened, and I'd be like, let me text my crew. And I would text them, I'd be like, this is happening. Is this? And it's like, why she need, you know, not everyone has a sister who's the founder of Femtech Focus. You know?
Exactly. And also you rely on your peers. They call that the 4th trimester. And actually, like, I remember when we came home with our first son, we were calling the hospital. I was like, what is this? Is this right? It's like, you know, there just could be way more to be done around that. It's very traumatic.
Absolutely. And our last question is, what do you think the femtech industry as a whole needs the most right now in order to be successful?
Okay, to me, there's 2 things. One of them is a bit out there. It's obvious, it needs funding, right? So, but I think that one thing that I found really unhelpful, I'm just going to put it out there, I hate all of this. I hate it how I see so many companies now trying to get women to pitching competitions, you know, blah, blah. I fundamentally do not believe in the idea of pitching in a competition to get funding for your business. And I think it's very disruptive for women to have to, most women wouldn't do that unless you've got uber confidence. It takes out a whole bunch of people. I know so many women who would never, ever, ever do. I think it just needs to be gone. I think it's unhelpful. So I think that the investment community needs to rethink how they engage women in the funding process. So when I found my investor, he never made me pitch. We had a conversation and it was amazing. And honestly, I'm part of a community of so many women in business who are all operating very small businesses that could be massive. And they would never, ever even enter the arena because of pitching.
Wow, you are blowing my mind right now because I'm like a pitch coach.
Sorry, you know, I'm just putting it out there.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And the reason I'm a pitch coach is because it's so freaking hard. And I have this very weird, unique thing that I love pitching. And so it's like this very unique skill
very unique
that I'm trying to provide to other people to do. And, you know, my first company, I had this brilliant co-founder. He's still in my life today. Ben, if you're listening, you're so amazing. Best business partner ever. But he is the most introverted Chinese man I've ever met in my life. And he would rather die than go on stage and pitch. There was one time that we qualified because of him to do the pitch, and he was required to do it. He had to drink alcohol before going up there, and he doesn't drink.
Wrong.
You know,
this is wrong.
That's wrong. He had to drug himself in order to do it. You know, and so you're really, really making me think. What do you have any ideas about the solution then? If it's not,
I don't think they should be making people pitch. I think get rid of pitching. Just have coffee. Set up coffee meetings with people. Like, just
how do we feel that though? Because I feel like the pitch allows like the founder to present the story to we could even say 100 investors at the same time, and then trickle down from there. So
honestly, I think a lot of this these pitching competition is a bit of like, it's been glamorized. I also don't believe that people who have slaved their guts to come up with a business idea, I find it a bit patronizing to think, oh, at the end bit, the bit that's the most important to get the money, I have to go to a competition. Do you see what I mean? I find that
I have this huge grin on because I'm like, oh my God, I think I should clear the rest of my day because I'm going to be thinking about this. Because
I just don't agree with it.
Why should you have to stand on stage like a monkey and dance?
Exactly. I just find it disrespectful.
That's what I tell people. It's theater. You know, that's what I'm actually coaching people on is theater. And it's like, if you're solving like fibroids, you don't need to be an improv master. You know?
I just, the scale of, I think it's up to the investment community to rethink the way that they do this. And I'll be honest, some of the female focused VCs do this. Yet have they not thought about the fact that they've cut out probably 90%, and I really mean that, 90% of women who just would not even consider going the next stage in their business because they don't want to go near, like, it's too scary.
Yeah. Do you think that the virtual is helping with that at all? Because it's not like a stage with lights, it's, Zoom.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But I think it needs a rethink of even like how they engage with businesses, and, that whole thing needs a remodel, a rethink.
My goodness, you are really, really making me think. My team should be nervous when they hear this. They're gonna be like, "Oh no, oh no, she's gonna change everything." Thank you.
I've never said that out loud. I've kept that to myself for quite a long time, and I almost wrote an article and then I stopped because I thought people are going to hate me for saying this, but I just think it's wrong.
Well, I would love to collaborate with you on that, and because I think that you're set in your ways about it. I'm growing towards it. You really have planted the seed in me, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Well, Kim, you are amazing.
You're amazing.
Let's hypnotize the world. Look at get pitch competitions to be obsolete. Let's increase the confidence of women. Let's increase the confidence in our body image and our work. Let's decrease the expectations of our perfectionism.
Exactly.
And just allow ourselves to be human. You know?
Exactly. Love your work, and thank you so much for sharing my story. And let's stay connected.
Okay, I just ended the audio. I'm gonna save it really quick because I'm always paranoid. You just put some real it's like somebody showing you like that there's another window in the room and you're like, how have I never seen? That's what you just did to me. Where I'm like, but this is the only window that's ever been, this is the only, you really just blew my mind.
I went to a seminar when I was starting funding where there was an investor, male investor there, and he said, women just need to have more confidence with pitching. And I was just like, I sat there and I just thought, no. You need to change the way that you're approaching it so that women want to come to you.
Yeah.
And they want to share their amazing business that they've been creating for 5 years so that you have the opportunity to invest in their business. You need to change your view on it.
Yes. Well, this is really important for me because I'm about to launch Femtech Angels. So have been in the process of raising a venture fund. And something I realized was that I've talked to several other people. We have 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's cool.
I've been talking to several other women that are starting funds as well and talking to them. And they're like, the first step is for 1 year, you just have to like syndicate deals, like find a good deal, find a bunch of investors, and then like help make it happen. And I'm like, how do you get paid though? Like, and they're like, oh, well, it's just a labor. You just got to do it, like to prove yourself. And I'm like, well, I don't come from money and I don't have a rich husband. So I need to make money in the meantime. So I realized like, it sounds like you guys are just angel networks, right? And so I'm just like a business-minded individual who was like, well, fuck it. If I'm going to have to do that anyways to raise a fund, I'm going to make Femtech Angels. And because Femtech is so new and innovative, femtechangels.com was available for like $10. So I bought that. I know. I own so many Femtech domains. It's stupid. So femtechangels.com. So what I'm doing is I have like 50 high net worth individuals who are interested in Femtech investing, and we'll pool the money together. So you can do as little as 10,000, 5,000, but it's one check to the founder. But I'm still in the process of like setting up the infrastructure and stuff. And so you've really made me think like, is it a pitch day, or is it a meet and greet? At that point, we've already kind of gotten to the point that it's reviewed and it's not a monkey on a stage show. It's a, conversation.
Even just the word pitch is incredibly triggering, right? Because it makes you think I'm on show. It adds pressure. So even just changing the name of it, like to a meet and greet, would genuinely change the way that people come into it.
Yes.
It's a conversation, because that's what it is, right? It should be a conversation about this amazing thing that you've created. We want to understand it. Let's just like break it down.
This is so interesting because admittedly there was times that my past startup got funded purely because I was just so contagious on stage. People were just like drinking the Kool-Aid and they were like, wow, it's like the Toronto story, they're like, oh my God, she's amazing. Like, let's not look at the science and give her millions of dollars. Right. And it's like, then amazing tech goes unfunded because they're not like kick ass on stage. And it's like, that should not be the fucking requirement, because that has nothing to do with how good the product is or whatever. Right.
No, it shouldn't be the currency for your business to succeed.
Yeah. Which sucks for me because that's how I've gotten by.
Which means you set up your game on your business plan.
I mean, at this point, I feel like I have more to offer, but I do believe that skill like got me in the door. You know?
It's a great skill if you have it. It's just so many people. It's it's a barrier for a lot of women.
But just because that's my talent doesn't mean that's the way the angel network should operate, especially because we're going to be an angel network that often says vagina, vulva, nipple. We're going to talk about periods, and no one's going to question it. No one's going to say women are no one's going to mansplain a uterus to that's not the culture of this network is going to be very different than any other angel network, so might as well. I love this. Interesting. I'm going to ask you more about this in the future, if you don't mind. Okay.
Yeah. Very cool. I think it's cool.
The last thing we like to ask people is I take a little screen recording of you introducing yourself. Hi, I'm Kim Palmer, founder of Clementine, and Femtech to me is, and then you say something. So do you have something prepared that you want to say?
No, I was just, when you said that, I was like, I'll probably just do Femtech for me is just solving issues that women have using technology, right?
Perfect. That's good. Some people do something specific to their thing, like Femtech to me is the 55 million women suffering from menopause.
Right.
But then some people take the more definition.
I'll do both.
Okay.
I'll do both. So hold on. What is it? It's introduce myself.
Say, hi, I'm Kim Palmer, founder of Clementine.
Yeah.
And Femtech to me is.
Yeah.
And then you can say whatever you want. And if you mess it up, just laugh, take a breath, and then do it again. And I have lots of bloopers too. Cool. And essentially this is to give you why are we doing this? A lot of people, as you probably know, are like, what's Femtech? And so we're kind of creating this giant library of definitions of people saying it.
Cool.
Whatever.
Got it.
All right. I'm going to click record and then, all righty, go whenever you want.
Hi, I'm Kim Palmer and I'm the founder of Clementine. And Femtech to me is two things. It's supporting the billions, yes, billions of women worldwide who suffer from stress and anxiety and confidence issues. And it's the other part of it, if I think about technically what it is to understand from a female perspective all of the problems and challenges that we face holistically, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever, and finding ways to solve these problems that we're having using technology. Simple as that. Sounds simple.
Perfect. Awesome.
There you
Alrighty.
go.
Well, Sue Wern will ask you for anything that she may need. She already knows the date that it's scheduled to come out. It's going to be a few weeks. We do them ahead of time,
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it. If you want to do a co-effort, usually people who have consumer facing stuff, they try to collaborate on the marketing.
We'll share this through all our chat. I've got quite a big LinkedIn network, and also we've got our own quite big community. So I often share things that I'm doing with everybody. So
awesome.
This will get out there.
Perfect. Good.
But yeah, we should stay connected because I reckon there's probably some other things that we could collaborate on in the future.
100%. You really I'm not kidding. The rest of my day, I'm going to be like, what is a pitch? How can I disrupt this?
Let's just get rid of the word. I wanted to do a campaign, which is let's get rid of the word pitch in the dictionary.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You really blew my mind. I love it. Thank you so much for your time
today.
I'll chat with you soon. Bye.
See you. Bye.